Welcome back to Planeswalk with us, the Magic the Gathering lore podcast. As always, it's your host, Scott, a.k.a. Cybercart.
And Zach, a.k.a. Spicy Angler.
Well, that's an opening.
Yep. I was like, all right, hit it, Zach. This is time. It's your time to shine. I'm the Spicy Angler. We just ate a bok choy pizza with pork belly, and I'm feeling good.
It's got a little heat to it, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scott, what are we doing today?
We are talking about the final block of Innistrad.
Yay!
Finally! It's not the final episode, though.
No!
I got a supplemental episode after this.
Yeah, it's alright. Zendikar is going to be 10 million fucking episodes.
There's so much lore on this I didn't cover. I'm going to stick to the story, and then I'm going to circle back, and I'm also going to cover the start of the Phyrexian invasion in that.
So they do invade Innistrad.
They invade everywhere. So one of the things that you'll find when we start going through March of the Machine is every single plane that's been named so far has been invaded.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, New Capenna.
Well, I know that one was invaded.
That one was invaded long ago. They're just circling back to it. They're going after everything, but Innistrad does get invaded.
Okay.
We won't touch on it today, not much, but it will come up. And I just want to do a quick recap from the last episode.
Yep.
So, last was Midnight Hunt. The nights on Innistrad are getting longer, and Arlen meets with the Dawnheart Coven, who are trying to start the Harvesttide Festival to reactivate the Celestis. It's a large structure that looks like a giant gyroscope in the middle of the Ulvenwald, which is the forest in Kessing. And it can control the...
Kessig,
yes.
Yeah. You always add an N to it. It's Kessig.
It's a large device that can control the cycle of day and night within the plane.
Yes, and the purpose of the Harvesttide Festival was to collect hope and good feelings in order to power this to make the day and night cycle return back to normal.
Yes, it is a ritual-based machine.
Yes, and it failed due to the invasion of Tovolar.
He's not the one that actually fucked it up.
He was the one that invaded.
He attacked it. They still were able to start the ritual. The problem was Olivia Voldaren.
Oh, okay.
Because she swoops in at the last second and kidnaps Catilda's body, who is the leader of the Dawnheart Coven, and rances it for the Moonsilver Key. I could not figure out for the life of me why she wanted it until I started going through this block.
Okay, yeah, because that answers my follow-up question, so I'll let you keep going.
It just... What she does with it is smart for her.
Puts it up her butt?
It's horrifying for the rest of the plane.
Puts it up her butt?
No. And now, before we dive back into the story, I do want to just go over the different types of vampires. Because they are important in this story, like the relationships with each other.
Yeah, okay.
The first ones that we know are the Markovs, obviously. They're the progenitor of the race on Innistrad. They seem to be on good terms with all the other families. And the only one who's sort of an outcast is Sorin, for obvious reasons.
Are there more Markovs?
They talk about them that they're in every providence. They're walking around, but we only ever meet two of them.
Sorin and Edgar, yeah.
Yeah. So...
Well, good. I mean, I don't need more Markov in my life.
Right. Like I said, Sorin is sort of an outcast. He created Avacyn, which expelled him. So every vampire lineage is traced back to them in some way.
Yeah.
It's never clear how. They even mention Sorin's mother and father at one point, but never give them names. Which I think is very weird.
Well, we will call them Pee-Pee Markov and Poo-Poo Markov.
Then we have the Voldarens, who we're very familiar with. They are the party people of the vampire world.
Yeah.
Every time that we see their manner in the story, it's during some sort of gathering or some party.
And this is the group that had that weird thing where they would, like, crown the human king of the vampires, pamper him for 3 days, and then feast.
They're very sadistic. They're led by Olivia Voldaren. They get along with most of the other vampire families except the Domnitari.
Okay.
They're vampires who are...
Fuck.
What?
Well, I had a joke, but it didn't formulate right. Like, Domnitari, I was gonna be like, oh yeah, I got her on speed dial. Like, bondage, like Domnitari, like she's a Dom.
Yeah.
But, the best jokes are ones that you can't formulate and then explain. So,
yeah,
I've created comedy gold.
Let me go back to this.
Yeah, continue.
So the Domnitari are like Lysa the vampire, where they are known for making pacts with demons and consorting with them. And Henrika, who is the matriarch of the family. Henrika.
Okay.
She's the ex-lover of Griselbrand, who was the vampire that Liliana Vess killed to get part of her soul back.
Good.
They had a falling out with the Voldarans a couple centuries ago. Could not figure out why. Couldn't find a lick of information about it. The only thing that I can find is something that happened like 2 years prior to the story, the current day. But they've had their issues for centuries, so I can't track anything down. The next are the Stromkirks. They live in Nephalia, which is the port city, port province. Lord Nellic, who we'll get to later, he might be a part of them. But they are known for
Hey, kitty.
walking around humans, like, openly. People know they're there. They're not going after them. There's this sort of uneasy alliance in the Providence where, okay, you're a vampire, but you're not actively hunting me, so I'm not going to hunt you. Kind of like that. They looked at the immortal eternity of vampire politics and said, no, fuck that, I'm leaving. And they left for the coast. The progenitor...
Just like Jerry.
Who the hell's Jerry?
I don't know. I wrote this whole backstory in my head, but what came out was just like Jerry. In my head, it was like Jerry's this gay kid who comes out to his family, then runs off to the coast. But what came out was just like Jerry.
I can't fault you for that because my mind works the same way.
Yeah.
Going to their progenitor, who's Rono Stromkirk, he was the high priest who worshipped the god of sea and storms. And
Keranos.
while they were so close to the sea, they were one of the first affected by Emrakul when she came out.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not many of them left. They kind of scattered across the
just to clarify the timeline, Emrakul is currently in the
Sealed
moon?
in the moon.
She is in the moon
Yes.
willingly. Okay. When you say first came out, it's when she first got to the plane.
Yes, first
Okay.
emerged from the ocean.
When Nikiri brought her there.
Finally, the last major family are the Falkenrath. We've touched on them.
I think it's Falcon Wreath. Is there? No, you're
It's
right. You're right.
R-A-T-H,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
It's right. Falcon Wrath. Yep.
They're literally named because their progenitor was a falconer, and they have a lot of mastery over flight that other vampires just don't, like maneuverability, speed, all of that. They were mostly wiped out by Avacyn when she got out of the Hell Vault. She just went right for them and destroyed them.
Yeah. Fuck you in
And
particular.
The few that remained were completely corrupted by Emrakul. They devolved into bat-like monsters known as Gorgers, who just eat for the sake of eating.
Yeah, I think there was a card called Flesh-Eating Gorger.
There's several.
Yeah, okay.
There are a couple that have remained, who have retained their human mind, but they're just gluttonous. They just eat to eat.
Same.
There are 3 other vampire lines: the Duskins, the Mars, and the Nosfer. And we really don't know much about them. There is a story about Mars. I'm going to cover that in the...
Mars?
Maurer. Maurer.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to cover them in the supplemental episode. They have a side story. There is cards for them, but I didn't want to delve into while researching this. The Nusfer are actually not a bloodline. They're a type of vampire. They were children who were changed into vampires.
Okay.
So they stay children, but they're immortal.
Oh, like that chick from Skyrim. Babette of the Dark Brotherhood.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I'm 1,000 years old. You are still a child. No, thank you.
I'm going to start with actually a side story here.
Gotcha.
It's going to come into play, not now, but it has a lot of information that we'll need later. And it's also chronologically, as far as I can track down, the first story that happens after Midnight Hunt.
Okay.
Or before Midnight Hunt. I can't really get a timetable on it.
Yeah.
It also explains the mechanics of vampire transformation. Which
Okay.
is very important.
Yeah.
We're talking about Odric and Thalia. They were 2 people who fled the Church of Avacyn, started their own order with Saint Traft, and went back to confront Emrakul. With Olivia as a ally.
Okay.
And Odric kind of lost his mind for a bit. He didn't participate in any battle. He stayed in the church they were at and just prayed every day. He's not eating, he's barely drinking enough water, and the only stuff he is consuming he'll only drink it if it's blessed by a priest. Like, he is
What a dork.
fully lost his mind.
Yeah, that's what I say. I hate this guy. Oh, you know what I'm going to do to solve my problems? I'm going to do nothing. Except I'm going to burden the people around me because I'm only going to sustain myself by blessed fucking food.
He does receive a letter from Thalia, explains that Avacyn is dead, Sigarda is the only archangel left on the plane, and Saint Traft is no longer possessing her. She doesn't know where he went. It seems Emrakul had enough power to push the spirit out of her, like separate the possession.
Okay.
And he reads this, he loses his mind even more and just destroys the church. Like, takes a sword and beats the crap out of every piece of furniture.
Okay.
And the priest who has been helping him and, running the church, also reads a letter, finds out Avacyn is dead. He just strips naked and walks into the darkness. Like, he's completely given up hope.
Don't we all want to do that? At least once a week, I just want to strip naked and walk into the darkness.
I am the darkness.
I was born. Oh, wait, do I have a cup? I was born in the darkness. Okay, well, it doesn't work as well with a full teacup.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory again. What killed Avacyn, or who killed Avacyn?
Sorin did.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was trying to get her. He was
corrupted.
trying to get her to the basement.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "All right, well, fuck you," and then he just
He
killed her.
literally threw her through the floor, dragged her to the basement, and then turned her to ash.
Good. Okay. Well, not good. But
She was the only thing holding Emrakul back.
well, I mean, now Emrakul's holding Emrakul back.
True.
So Avacyn wasn't doing shit. Except killing humans.
To be fair, Nahari did not know that Emrakul would do that.
No, she did not.
Nahari's still alive, too. Like, she just fucked off the plane. She
Yeah,
just
I'm
left.
curious as to what happened there, but
I know what happened to her, and it's not good.
does it come up in this
It doesn't
episode?
come up in this, because I did some research.
Oh,
I
okay,
was
well,
looking
go
at her.
throw it at me. What happens?
She gets turned by the Phyrexians.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
so-
I mean, doesn't everybody, basically?
It's only...
They even get Heliod, the fucking, like, one-off...
They get all of the... Like, almost all the gods on Theranos.
Yeah.
So, that's not good.
Yeah, so...
So, church... The priest strips butt naked, goes into the forest.
How big is his wiener?
After he leaves, like, seconds after, the church is attacked by Henrika and a number of Cathars. She sort of swayed to her cause
Yeah.
to serve Grizzlebrand.
Well, hang on, real quick. It seemed like you moved on from that question.
Yeah, I'm going to. She does say she needs a priest, and she actually has, like, Glamour, the one who's just walking out naked. And she's after something called Avacyn's Tear, which seems to be blessed water. That was water blessed by Avacyn herself that's in the church.
Okay.
And Odric realizes, the church is about to be assaulted. He tells the only remaining people, this girl and her father, go run and hide. Get the Cathars out here. We're going to try and hold them off.
Yeah.
And he kills, like, all of the Cathars she swayed to her side, only for Henrika to send the vampires after him. And just as he's about to be overrun, Thalia just, like, comes out of nowhere, saves his ass, like, blocks a hit, and they start slicing the vampires down. They fight. It doesn't really go their way. They're really just overrun by sheer numbers.
Yeah.
And they end up captured with the vampires actually feeding on them a little bit to regain their strength. The priest from before...
Can vampires feed on angels?
They're not angels. These are just people.
Oh, I thought Thalia was an angel.
She was temporarily uplifted to that status by Avacyn's spear.
Oh, okay.
The priest from before comes back as they're, like, held there.
The naked priest.
They appear.
How big is his wiener?
I'm not answering that. And he goes to this pool of water, and he's holding a devil, which, as you know, is like a minor demon.
Yeah.
Takes a knife and slits open his stomach and lets the blood flow into the tear,
Metal.
which causes the Grizzlebrand to start to manifest through it. Which is strange, considering he was killed by Liliana.
Yeah.
She then calls...
Well, because I think you said in one of the prior episodes, like, demons don't ever die.
Right, they can reform, but it takes a lot of time.
or imp belly.
It's only been like 3 years or 4.
What of that pizza we ate with the pork belly was actually imp belly.
Why are you like this?
It's called being entertaining.
I got a lot of information to get through, man.
Nah, that's fine. We're gonna be here all day anyway.
Yeah, true. So he taints the water, and Henrika brings the girl and her father back, kills the father, and goes to anoint the girl with the mixture. And while she's about to do that, Odric and Thalia, she's turning on him. She's like, "You got to swear loyalty to me."
Wait, which girl?
The little girl from before who was in the church. They never give her a name. She's just a little girl.
Okay, I don't know if that was established. I might have missed it.
It was.
Okay.
Probably making a dick joke.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, I think I was focused on the priest wiener.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
Henrika is demanding that Odric and Thalia swear loyalty to her. They obviously refuse. And as they're refusing, the vampires who are feeding on them are like, something doesn't feel right, and they actually burst into flames.
Awesome.
And the effect is, because all the things that they consume are blessed, their blood is blessed. So the vampires can't actively feed on them without dying.
Cool.
Henrika, she's all pissed off. She moves in to kill Thalia. Odric jumps in front of her attack, takes it, and he's bleeding out at this point. And Henrika goes, "You know what? I'm going to turn you into a vampire." So she slits her tongue and goes to mix it with her blood. And that's how we learn his blood,
Okay.
which is how we learn this is how vampirism works. It's not a bite, it's a blood mixture.
So you feed on the vampire's blood.
Right.
And you become a vampire.
The blood has to be injected into your veins in some way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty similar. I'm thinking, like, Vampire the Masquerade, they call them ghouls. But yeah, people who feed on vampire blood get, like, thrall status, where they get, like, a boost in power, but they're under control of the vampire that blooded them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's not under control, but Odric does transform into a vampire. As he is, the priest from before is chanting over the blood, trying to summon Griselbrand. And Odric just loses it, cuts his head off, destroys this pool of water, and they flee the church. This causes the altar to be destroyed, loses its power, the water just sinks into the ground. That threat's done. And the only ones remaining are Thalia, Odric, and this little girl. Henrika is completely retreated. She's going to look for another pool of blood, another Avacynteer, to do the same ritual. And there's a little bit of backstory here with Odric, where he had a son that was killed by a vampire. So he really, really hates vampires. Like, that's the whole reason.
And now he is one.
Right. And there's this quote here. It's kind of long, but it does sum him up pretty well. And the mentality of the church. So Thalia turns to him and goes, "Can you see the moon?" Odric understood her meaning. Vampires could not cross running water that reflects the light of the moon, and looked into it. It would be a testament of how much of Henrika's poison had penetrated his heart. He stared up through the hole in the roof, so the hole in the church, but where he expected pain and trepidation, he felt peace, utter peace. Slowly he made his way across the blood-laden sanctuary and pried his sword from the bowl of the pool. It flashed angelically in the moonlight as if still blessed by some higher power. The blade, turned flat in front of him, held his reflection. In it he saw his blackened vampiric eyes, but found no monster staring back at him, no woeful abomination. He simply saw himself as a younger man, a Cathar full of great ideals and morals, a champion of man, a righteous protector of the soft light. He looked back at Thalia. "Yes, I can see it." And that's where it ends.
So he is a holy vampire.
Yeah, he is a vampire who was turned, but is still in complete control of himself. Which, by some accounts, as far as I can tell, there is a minor, information. Thank you. There is an information packet on the vampires of Innistrad that basically, when they turn, they're just feral until they feed.
Yeah.
So he didn't need to do that. Something is keeping him in control.
Well, I guess this explains his annoying diet of only eating anointed food.
Well, now it does.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That explains it. It almost feels like they came up with that diet retroactively with the how does he retain his vampire?
No,
shit! All right, we got to go back. He eats nothing but blessed food. Okay,
Right.
cool.
The lore of the vampires came out years ago.
Yeah.
I did find out that the Innistrad story, not this block, but the one we started with Shadows of Innistrad, was 2011.
Okay.
So 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Gee, we were in high school.
We were graduating
graduating.
high school. Yeah.
Jeez. And now we get back to the Voldarans and their bullshit.
Woo!
So a few weeks have passed since the failure of the festival, and we actually learned that the festival wasn't contained to the Celestis. It was happening everywhere on Innistrad. Like, people were celebrating in their towns, villages, roadways, building effigies. They were using the entire plane as a power source.
So much hope, only to be left with despair.
Right. There is a focus on a town in one of the small towns in Stenzia, which is the mountain range, where the vampires have the most power. And what had happened is, after Olivia had taken the key and the Eternal Night took over the plane, so did the vampires. They have completely dominated it. The Voldarans had sent small glass bowls to everyone in the province with the instructions that it is to be filled daily with blood.
Yeah.
And if they fail to fill it, the Voldarians will come to that house and kill that person. And each night, thousands of bats rain down upon the towns, picking up the bowls and carrying it back. And this particular night, each one is carrying a black envelope tied with red ribbon.
Always a good sign.
Yeah. I mean,
definitely nothing ominous about that.
Exactly. We actually switch over to Adeline. She's the cat. Yeah, Adeline, the Cather, joined the Gatewatch with Arlen. And she's working with Chandra to clear out a town that's been overrun by some vampires called Caro. Never talk about it again. I don't know why they bothered to name it. After they clear it out, they meet up with the others, members from the Dawnheart Coven, the Gatewatch, and Arlen. And Arlen lays it out. Like, listen, based on how quickly the vampires are feeding and how incapable everyone is from defending themselves, the plane has about 10 years left until everyone's dead.
Yeah. Which, to interject here, because we talked about how Innistrad, my theory that Innistrad's very mana poor versus, like, Zendikar's mana richness. And it makes sense that Emrakul is like, well, it's not your time yet, because it sounds like Innistrad is running out of mana, and that's when its time will be for the Eldrazi.
So the way the Eldrazi work is, yes, that is how they do work. They come to planes that are
on the verge of death, and then they
eat it, and they recycle the mana to form new planes.
Yeah, because the plane's no longer sustainable. So it sounds like Innistrad's working its way towards Emrakul's freedom.
It's going that way. All the planes do this. It's just a natural form of aging on a plane. Some last longer than others, some don't.
I sipped that so slurpily. I'll cut that out.
Like, I can't find the story. I got to track it down. But Emrakul is talking to a merfolk, and she's explaining their machinations on why they do what they do. And she's the only one that I can confirm speaks to anyone out of the three Titans.
Yeah.
So, they're just like, listen, we're the recycling plant for the universe, for the multiverse. Something breaks, we go in, we clear it out, we give new mana. That's all we do. It kills everyone in the process, but it keeps the multiverse going. So it's about 10 years until every human is extinct, and then with the humans gone, there's no more prey for the vampires, they're totally cannibalistic, and the plane's dead. Well, dead of human life.
Yeah. We talked about this. That was Sorin's whole deal.
Right. That was why he created atmosphere.
Yeah, because like if the vampires run roughshod, then we have no plane left because we overfeed and then we die.
It's an exponential growth factor.
Where is Sorin in all this?
We're gonna get to him.
Okay. Not that I'm excited to see that fucking white-haired piece of shit, but like if his goal was to stop this exact thing, what the hell is he doing? But we're gonna find out.
So they meet together. Adeline asks Teferi if his time magic can reverse the effects of the Eternal Night, like return day. And he actually explains that the solar system in Innistrad is very complicated, like more so than a normal plane. And whatever magic is causing the Eternal Night is very old and very powerful and far beyond his ability to affect. So he understands that something is causing this. They don't know what exactly. But at the same time, even if that problem wasn't there, Emrakul, he still couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The solar system in Innistrad is just that powerful.
I may have fixed the universe, but I am nothing in the face of Innistrad, is essentially what Teferi's saying.
Yeah, he can use his time magic here, obviously, but he can't do anything to help them right now. Arlen actually goes, listen, we gotta go to Sorin. He's the only one who understands the problem, and he could be of some help since apparently the vampires are planning something. And she also says, listen, he's the only one who saw this coming, this extinction, over 1,000 years ago. He's got to have some insight. We should go to him.
I begrudgingly admit that Sorin was right.
Yes. There is a side note here where, like, they're talking about, like, Sorin's in a mood after Avacyn died.
Well, Sorin at this point has lost both daughters.
Yeah. Nahari turned on him, quote, quote, and Avacyn he had to literally unravel.
Yeah.
Teferi does say that Sorin is always in a mood, but they gotta go anyway.
That is true.
Yeah. And as the others, like, protest, like, hey, Sorin's a dickbag, I don't want to see him, Arlen tells them that Olivia is their enemy and that Sorin might know what's going on. And she's able to convince the group, like, we should at least go talk to him, see what he's got planning.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when it comes to Innistrad, Sorin is the guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Like we've
his
seen it over.
His only goal is to protect Innistrad.
Yeah, and we've seen that over and over again. So it makes sense, even if I wouldn't want to. I have a quote from Nissa we're gonna hear about later, but yeah.
And now we go to Sorin, who, yes, of course, he's in a mood. And he's traveling down into the depths of Markov Manor, into the archives. And at the back of the archives is the family crypt, which is where he's going.
Which is where Edgar is.
Yes. Because all the, like, high-ranking, quote-unquote, Markovs sleep. And Edgar is the only one who kind of, like, wakes up.
Yeah.
It does allude that the others, like his aunts and uncles, only get up to go to, like, Voldaran parties and stuff, and then go back to sleep.
Man, what a life.
Yeah.
Wake me up when the next party, otherwise
Exactly.
I'm going to sleep. Like,
he does muse on his family, and this is where we learn that the Markovs are just not good people. Like,
oh, this is where we learned that?
No, like, even from his perspective.
You mean that we didn't know that already?
Yeah, like, there's not a single member of the family who's, like, redeemable.
Yeah, they're all dickbags. Makes sense.
He's musing on the conversation he had with Edgar 1,000+ years ago that left unchecked, the vampires would be wiped out. The vampires would wipe out the humans, which in turn would wipe out the vampires. And Edgar's reaction is just like, no, let's not be too hasty.
It'll work itself out.
Let's just wait and see what happens.
Fucking Edgar, man.
Yeah. And we also get the mechanics of vampire feeding here, which they have to drink one person's worth of blood every full moon cycle. So once a month.
Okay. So you could feed, like, once a week, partially, or you could drain a human dry once a month.
Exactly. The Voldarans actually keep thralls around, like human slaves.
And they just snack on them.
Just snack on them.
Smart.
And Sorin listened to Edgar for like 6,000 years, just didn't do anything, and then he's like, yeah, this is getting too bad. And that's when he created Avacyn.
Yeah.
And
that worked out great.
it did for 1,000 years.
Yeah, true.
And he also mentions that the humans at that point were on the brink of extinction. Like,
Yeah.
there were pockets of humans and, like, no cities, and that was it. He goes through... I hate this.
Yeah, don't worry. Also, for the audience, if you hear, like, random noises from my microphone, it's the creaking of the chair. I'm probably not going to cut it out, so sorry. Well, just because, like, I'm trying to, like, get comfy and listen to the story, but this chair squeaks like a motherfucker, so it's like, well, sorry, guys. You'll put up with some chair noise. It shouldn't be too bad since we turned down the gain on the microphone, but I just wanted to... I'm sure people have been listening to me creak for the last, like, 20 minutes, and I just wanted to address it.
On a side note, my legs are crossed under the table.
Yeah.
And French is sitting between my knees in the crook of my legs.
Ooh.
So, yeah, Sorin gets to the archives, and it's been... He actually says that it's been chanted and secured by Sorin, so that if everything else on the plane dies, like the plane itself is wiped out, the archives would at least survive and have a record of what happened. You good?
Keep going.
Okay.
I was because every time I move my mic, the stupid clamp starts coming off the corner because it's not like actually stuck. There's like a pad there.
Yeah.
Because I think I just move my mic much more than you do.
Yeah, I try not to touch it.
Yeah, and the swing arm is too tight, which is probably the problem. This is interesting for the audience. to hear
Behind
this
the
goes.
scenes.
Yeah, it's not fun. I'm gonna cut this out.
Subscribe to Patreon for more. So Sorin gets
We
to
don't have a Patreon yet.
Sorin gets to the archives, and this is where to learn it's been enchanted and secured by Sorin. That if
Wait, Sorin gets to the archives?
he's walking through the archives.
And it was enchanted by Sorin?
Sorin, yes. He enchanted the archives he's in.
Oh, okay. This is where we learn, not
Yes,
he learns. Okay,
yes.
okay. Continue.
And the archives would serve as a record of what happened. Like, if the entire plane would die, he's put enough magic into them that it would survive sort of like a time capsule.
Yeah,
and have a
like
record
here's
of
the
what
story of Innistrad.
happened. Right. And then he gets to the crypt, and he's thinking about, like, he hates his family because all they do is sleep and party. Like, that's it. And they only wake when they want to or if Sorin needs help. And he only ever goes to Edgar, from what we can tell. This is where we do learn there's more members of the Markov family down here, but they're never named, and they only come up
Yeah,
again,
Pee-Pee and
like,
Poo-Poo
once.
Markov.
He finally gets to the crypt and goes to the very back, which is the mausoleum for Edgar. And it's a special room that acts as a study, but he goes into it, and it's empty. The books are gone. The tea kettle is gone. Edgar and his coffin are gone. He makes a point to point out the tea kettle,
Yeah, that's a weird thing to bring.
which is, again, really weird, because, again, it never comes up again. Ever.
Oh, they've took the tea kettle. How dare they?
So he looks at this empty room, and he's standing there, and he's, like, slowly working up the anger.
I wanted orange peacoat.
And as he's about to, like, just rip the room apart, he's interrupted by a bat, who he just snatches out of the air and kills, and it's holding one of those letters.
Oh, the
envelope
black
with the
one.
red.
Yeah.
So he reads it, and before he can react, he hears Arlen, Teferi, Kaya, Adeline, and Chandra upstairs, so he goes and meets them.
He goes and eats them?
Okay. And Chandra is messing around with a book
Of course.
because it's...
Because she has ADD and she is bored.
Oh, yeah. Like, it comes up so much in this, but they're messing around with a book, and they're like, put it down, it's made from human skin, don't touch it. And funnily enough, it's a book on how to create zombies
I really
via
thought,
stitching.
I really thought you were going to say it's a book on how to make books out of human skin.
It's close.
That's almost as like oxymoronic as my joke book that I want to make, which is how to read. It's like I want to get a book where the cover says how to read in public to make yourself look smarter.
There are books like that.
I don't think so. I haven't seen them. It's my idea.
Okay.
No,
You gotta get on the
But
internet.
yeah, like the joke is like you get that book and you just sit in the corner of like a bar or something, and people look over and they see you doing a visual gag of like how to read in public to make yourself look smarter.
I'd do a double take at a bar if I saw that.
I would laugh so fucking hard. I'd buy that guy a beer.
I do want to quote Sorin here when he comes up, because it makes you realize what is going through the mind of Sorin. Well, who came up with Sorin, like, when they were writing him. And they were thought, you can very tell they were thought, oh, like, this is badass, I don't need anyone. But it kind of comes off as just, like, kind of cringy.
Like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
My ambivalence towards good and evil.
So he sees them all and he goes, all of them in his library, his family archives, behaving like children when confronted with one of the most foremost texts on stitching an Innistrad. Of course it was bound in human vellum. What else did they expect? He didn't keep work by novices. And I'm just like, all right, that's a little too hard, even for Sorin. He chastises them, goes, okay, why the hell are you here? And Arlen just goes like, yeah, you know why we're here. Shit's fucky.
Yeah, bro,
hanging out.
plane's falling apart here. This is the only thing you pretend to care about. Let's do something here.
She also notices the letter, and his hand is like, yeah, by the way, what the hell's in your hand?
I was about to say, has anybody opened any of these letters?
Yeah,
yet?
Sorin read it in the archive, but before he could react, he got interrupted.
Oh, okay. Do we know what it says?
Yeah, so Arlen is like, hey, can we see the letter? And he just whips it at him. And this is where we find out that it's a wedding invitation for Olivia and Edgar's wedding. And Arlen goes, okay, yeah, we're going to crash this.
Wait, so Edgar wasn't down in the archive?
No, he was kidnapped by Olivia to be married to her. Well, he's asleep.
Good plan. Hey, like, this has that villain from Sword Art Online levels of, like, cognitive dissonance where it's like, if I marry him while he's sleeping, it's still valid. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how any of that works.
He is awake for that part, and we'll get to that. But the whole thing is Olivia craves power.
Isn't Edgar supposed to be like super duper strong?
Oh yeah,
Why is Olivia so able to just like do what she wants with him?
we'll get there.
Great.
These are all like vampiric mechanics we'll get into.
Yeah.
Before we do like just focus on the vampires, I do want to take a minute to talk about two factions that weirdly we never really focus on in Innistrad.
Yeah.
Which are the humans. You know, they're mentioned in every story, but they're
Mostly snacks.
right, and Geis. And again, like I know we talked about them as part of a larger story, but they never really focus on them beyond like Thalia and Saint Traft, and that's it. And this is actually the focus of the deck Spirit Squadron, which is commander deck.
Oh, is that with Millicent?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So
God, we're such fucking... I mean, obviously we're nerds, but I'm just like... the fact you just have to say, oh, Spirit Squadron, like, oh yeah, Millicent.
yeah,
like,
I had the same reaction. I was like, oh, I recognize this. It's Millicent.
why the
Shit.
hell do I know that so quickly? This brain could be used to store, like, I don't know,
Quantum mechanics.
but
yeah.
no, instead it's magic cards and magic lore.
This also takes place in Nephalia, which is another area we really haven't touched on. It's been mentioned in passing. The only time the story has gone there is Emrakul's Rising, but that was just Jace's
What was
story.
the name of the place again?
Nephalia?
Nephalia.
Yeah.
Keep going. Ignore the smile.
You're thinking of a phallic joke. I
I was
see it on
thinking
your
of a
face.
D's Nuts joke, but I'm like, and I'm just going to keep that one inside.
And like I said earlier, this is where vampires and humans kind of live in like an easy peace. Like, the vampires there are welcome, but no one is actively hunting them. So
what, do the humans just kind of like, listen, we'll maybe give you a sacrifice once in a while if you leave us the fuck alone?
pretty much.
Okay. Not the word, I mean, like, I wouldn't, it would be a tough deal to choose to do.
But think about it, like,
But if you lived on Innistrad,
you need
like...
to give them 5 liters of blood, which is the amount in a human body, once a month.
Well, per vampire.
Per vampire.
Wait, and there's a whole bunch of them, right?
There's enough that they have a presence.
Yeah, because like one vampire could be like, okay, once a month, if like, let's be cool here, once a month we'll send you like 5 people, I'll be one of
They don't
them.
even need to do that. They do touch off on, and I forgot to mention this, and I do apologize. They just need to consume that much within 4 weeks' time.
That's what I'm saying.
So they don't need to bleed a person dry.
Well, I know that's what
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting at. Is you send 5 people, you feed a liter off of each once a month. Cool. You're the vampire homie. Just maybe help us out, like
Exactly.
do the farming or something like that. Right. But if you have a group of them, that equation, because it's 5-to-1, right? So that equation doesn't necessarily balance.
Well, that's better because predator prey mechanics in the wild, like on Earth, are 10-to-1.
Yeah.
So for every 1 predator animal, we need 10.
Yeah,
10
I guess
prey.
going strictly by like, okay, what's the most survivable plan?
Exactly.
That's the way to go.
Or even just a blood tribute, like, oh, you go to the doctors and you got a broken leg. Like,
yeah,
listen,
once a month.
part of your payment is we need to take a cup of blood.
Yeah, everybody in the town just gives a little bit of blood. And
Exactly.
it's not the worst way. Although I like what I'm thinking is like if I was in that situation, I would be the guy like, no, we kill the vampire. I would not be. Like obviously like cold logically I understand that's the plan, but like my actual actions would be like, nope, I'm hunting the vampires down and fucking them up.
This is also the place in Innistrad, other than the Mount Providence, which I'm trying, Stenza, where it looks the most like Bloodborne,
Yes.
like architecture wise.
Okay.
It's very
so it's like old Victorian.
It's old Victoria, giant mansions, giant houses, giant buildings.
There's a thing with a face that looks like a nutsack.
Amygdala.
Thank you. I was that's why it took so long to come up to say that because I'm like, what the fuck are they
I
called?
know exactly what you're
I
talking
played
about.
that game like 7 times. How do I forget the name Amygdala?
Throwing our minds back to the first episode, Nephalia is the home for is the event called the Nebelgast.
Yeah.
Can you remember what that is?
No, but the term is striking familiarity.
It is the fog that comes in with the tide, except
it's filled with ghosts.
It's filled with ghosts.
Yes. Okay.
And the story takes place. It seems that there's a group of guys killing people,
Yeah.
but they're not like mass murdering. It's like one person here, another person there, and the last person who killed was a mayor. He was pushed off a roof.
Yeah.
There's a businessman who's very worried that he's next because all the people that have been killed have been morally bankrupt, and he's a vampire, So, he's got a little bit superiority complex to him.
Yeah.
And this is Lord Nellick. He is a vampire in the town of Shelloff. And he calls a detective in named Elise Wicker, who tells him to call a consultant for Geist. So they call in Jacob Hauken, and...
Ghost detective.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm picturing see, he's got like a trench coat and the fucking bowler hat or whatever the detectives wear.
I'm imagining like Sherlock Holmes here.
Yeah. I'm the ghost detective. Meh.
And this is where we learn that everyone on the plane knows about the wedding because Jacob mentions it without Lord Nellick saying anything.
Well, because she sent out that little black invitation to basically everybody.
Right. It also is...
Son of a fucking titty. Keep going.
The Providence is also the farthest away from the Voldaran estate. So the fact that word has traveled this far means that, like, everyone knows. And Jacob leads with Lord Nellick, who's like, listen, I'm worried about this thing killing me. Can you protect my ass? And Jacob tells him, like, just set up some wards. You'll be fine. And me and Eloise will go see who's being hunted. We'll go try and find out what's hunting you. As they're heading to a nearby inn, they're attacked actually by this group of Geist, and they give Eloise this like concussion before Jacob can banish him. Like he makes a symbol with his hands, tells them to stop, and they kind of like run off. They make it to the inn, and we get a lot of information about Jacob in a very short amount of time. He's very tired, and I'm not like he wants to take a nap. He just wants to lay down and die. He's tired of fighting. He's tired of struggling.
I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. And he was actually... The second thing we learn is he was raised in a cult called Vizag Atum. And they worship ghosts because they could communicate from beyond the grave and believe that would give them inside knowledge to great understanding of the universe.
Not the stupidest thought in the world.
No, except they can't do that.
Who?
The ghosts. They just don't have that.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, if they're here talking to people, that means they didn't go to whatever afterlife.
Exactly.
Okay.
So once Jacob finds out, like, one of his friends died in the cult, no one cared about her death, like, at all. They didn't even investigate why she died. So he's just like, all right, I'm done, I'm leaving. And he left. They call a doctor for Eloise, and he gives her the all clear. The doctor just, like, runs out, and they're attacked by the ghosts again. And Jacob is actually able to craft a seal on paper using blood and give it to the main Geist, which is Millicent.
Oh.
This stabilizes her so she can talk and has a solid form.
So I take it to understand if she is stabilized. So ghosts are like kind of like feral in a sense.
There's two versions of ghosts on Innistrad.
Yeah.
There's ghosts and Geists.
Okay.
So Geists are kind of like more playful. They're not meant to be not, I want to say maleficent, but that's not the word.
Malevolent?
Malicious. They're not malicious.
Yeah.
They're, again, more playful. They're more like poltergeists. They'll, like, fuck with stuff, but not really kill anyone. But the fact that they are is a bad sign. Ghosts, on the other hand, are just, no, I'm going to kill you just because I'm bored. Like, they are tortured dead souls.
Okay.
That's the difference between the two.
Okay.
So he gives her the seal. This is Millicent, who we know. And she explains that her town was wiped out by a Geist mage named Civil Rav. And she, along with the now Geist remains of the town, are hunting him, and they found out he's been possessing and killing people.
Civil Rav.
Yes. So he's a ghost now, and he's going around possessing people, taking the information, and then letting them die when the ghosts kill him.
What a dick.
Yeah. So Jacob realizes that Cyril is possessing... Yeah, it's Cyril. Sorry, not Civil. I do apologize.
Okay.
Cyril is possessing people via touch, and realized Eloise was the last person who was possessing him. That Cyril was possessing. Do apologize for that wording.
Yep.
And realizes the last person that Eloise touched was Lord Nellick.
Oh, the vampire.
Yeah. So Jacob tells Eloise and Melissa to wait outside. He's going to go in and figure out what's going on. And he confronts Cyril. And Cyril actually makes him an offer. They can work together.
And Cyril in the body of Nellick.
Right.
Yeah, see? I've deduced that you are actually Cyril McGuffin, or whatever the fuck his last name was.
Rav. Cyril Rav. And Cyril makes him an offer. He goes, we can work together to attain power, influence, and information. And since Jacob is an experienced Geist Mage and can expel or destroy Cyril at any time, he'll keep him on a short leash.
Oh, okay. So the kind of the version of like the devil,
Exactly.
Okay.
It cuts over.
Does Jacob agree to this deal?
It cuts over to Eloise, and she sneaks into the manor, finds all the servants dead, Lord Nellic is dead, and Jacob is gone with Cyril. He let him possess him, and they just walked off into the night.
Okay. I mean, there's a certain logic there.
Yeah. Because he's tired of the fighting, he's tired of being broke,
Yeah.
and
now he can ride back seat to
Cyril's
Cyril.
shenanigans, yeah.
And then if he decides Cyril's getting too out of hand, he can just banish him.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I understand why Jacob would take the deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's Innistrad.
Yeah. Well,
Survival is key.
Yeah, we've talked about it a million times. Like, all you care about in Innistrad is not being the next snack for whatever wants to kill you.
You need three things. You need somewhere warm to sleep. Not many people have that.
Yeah,
you need to not be hunted. No one has that. And you need food, and very few people have that.
Yeah, and the first two are like maybes. Like, you need food and water, and then maybe a warm place to sleep.
So that was the last break we're going to get for the vampires for the rest of the story. So this is where we'll go back to the vampires, and this is where all the vampire families we talked about, before they come into play, they're all at Olivia's wedding, and this is where you got to do some Googling, because I cannot describe Olivia Vodaren's dress, but you need to look it up. It's Olivia, the Crimson Bride.
Olivia the Crimson Bride. Your corpse bride. Is that her hair? So, it's like a big, gigantic black dress with, like, white, wispy, like, withered cloth on it, and then I think her hair, which is the color of like blood rose, is just flowing around.
Yeah, that's the card.
Okay. She looks like I think you mentioned this actually in one of the prior episodes, but she looks very much like the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, the Red Queen. There is a couple interesting facts about that dress. One,
made of human skin.
No, made of human souls.
Oh, better.
The trail that flows behind it is
made of pee-pee.
Blood that has been infused with souls of dead people.
Great.
So if you look very closely at the artwork, you can see faces screaming out of it.
Wonderful.
And something not in the artwork, but they do mention in the story, which I think is very funny, is the trail is actually being held up by bats. So, like, she's floating in the air, and bats are holding up her dress.
Oh my god. It is like the definition of like ostentatious.
It gets worse. Like, they're having this wedding. And I cut out a lot of describing it, mostly because the description of the ballroom is like 2 pages.
Not my ballroom.
It's like larger than a football field, filled with fountains of blood, crystal chandeliers, and there's rose petals falling.
Is it crystal or crystal chandelier?
Crystal chandeliers.
So it's made of champagne.
There's these rose petals that are falling from the ceiling continuously, but as soon as they touch something, they turn back into liquid blood.
Cool.
It is very cool.
This is like the ultimate goth wedding. Which, I mean, makes sense for a vampire, but...
There's a part where they're trying to get in the group with Sorin, and they're turning him away because they don't match the dress code, which is black and red, and that's it.
Well, I mean, Sorin's black and red and dressed... Chandra's only dressed in red.
This is where we see her dressed to kill outfit.
Wait, yeah, I want to look at that, actually. I think we talked about it, but what is it, Chandra dressed to kill?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love Chandra. Yeah. She, I mean, there's definitely some Mockingjay vibes, but...
I love the fact that she's in this dress, but still has the goggles on her forehead.
Yeah, I guess it looks like they've been fashioned almost like a tiara.
Yeah. I think she just puts them up there, like one of those goggles.
It's a symbol of the Nalars. I mean, that was their whole thing. It was like the OK sign and then pushing up goggles like a dork.
So Olivia floats down with her bats carrying her dress, and she thanks them all for coming and summons with her slave's help.
Thank you all for coming to my non-consensual wedding.
Pretty much. Thanks them all for coming. Summons thralls that carry in Edgar's coffin. And as Olivia is showing off, we go outside and Chandra's just having a meltdown. She's like whining like a child, like, why can't we get in? Please let us in. Come on.
Yeah.
We're here.
Proper manners and like decorum were never.
She's like
Well,
20
well
at this point.
she's like 10 when her parents die, and before that she was a rebel. So it's not like she had anybody to teach her any of this
Right.
shit either. Because after that she just went to the monks where they taught her fire magic. So it's
and
like
she
I don't know if
seems-
fire magic includes decorum lessons.
right. Well, it does if you're a firebender from Avatar.
True.
True. But she seems to be staying with Teferi on Ravnica. And he is very lackadaisical. Like, I don't think he's going to be like, now get your hands off the table. Like, he doesn't
This
care.
is shit. By the way, these last 2 episodes have shattered my image of Teferi because I thought he was like an old wizened like. Yes, I see the machinations of time throughout the universe. Like, I thought he was that dude, but it sounds like he's just kind of a fucking, like, bub with time powers.
He is both sides of that.
That's amazing. Hey, I never knew about him.
He's one of the older characters. We talked about this, I think, in the last Innistrad episode, maybe
Yeah, where it's like 60 years post-bending.
Right, but he was one of the students for Urza, who is one of the largest figures in Magic the Gathering history.
Yeah.
And Urza was actually the one who first encountered the Phyrexians to assault them.
Yeah.
So Teferi was his student, and he's that old. Like, this dude is old magic. He does have a daughter and a wife, but they're nomads, so, like, he just kind of, like, sees them when he can.
Just pop it in for my yearly checkup.
So as Shannon's having this meltdown, it goes to, like, each character, and they're all wearing, like, their finest. So, like, Arlen is dressed in, like, a brown dress with a bear skin,
Yep.
trying to get into this wedding.
Tracks.
And they're like, no. Teferi is in his robes as always, and Sorin is in his black suit,
Yeah.
brooding as always. Kaya's there, the ghost girl. Love her in this.
Yep.
She can turn into a ghost,
I remember
yeah.
Kaya, yeah. The purple card with the weapons.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they're trying to get in the wedding, and they're complaining, like, we even went through the trouble of getting dressed up. Why don't we
Do you
let
think
in?
I hunted down the bear for this dress? Are you kidding me?
Like, she 100% did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the guard's like, yeah, you're not getting in without an invitation, and you're dressed like shit. We're not letting you in.
Everybody was invited.
They're not from the plane.
I mean, they got it. Soren got one.
Soren got
Does that
one.
not include a +1, +1, +1?
That actually comes up. Because Soren goes, so the guards are there, and they're like, we'll let you in, and they point to Soren. And Chandra immediately goes, well, doesn't he get a +1? And they're like,
I love you, Chandra.
no, it doesn't. God, what are you talking about?
I mean, it should. Chandra's absolutely right here. And she invited everybody. Like, why do you even need an invitation? Like, who fucking cares?
The entire estate is warded. You cannot get in without an invitation.
Right, but like, if you invite everybody, then there's no point of having that rule.
See, I thought that at 2, but when I got to this part, I realized what she had sent out wasn't an invitation. It was an announcement.
Oh.
She only invited vampires. Litterbox.
Okay. Sorry, we heard noise from the other room.
We're talking about vampires, something that happens in that room, you're a little sketched out.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. You got to keep your head on a swivel at all times.
And so, because Soren's the only one who actually got invited and has the invitation, the guards let him in.
Yes.
And the only comforting thought, and we actually see inside of Chandra's mind here, is she really does care for everyone, but it's that childlike, I hope everyone's okay, everything's going to be good. She's wondering, like...
Sorry, our third podcast host apparently has the post-shit energy. She's just sprinting around the room.
She wonders, like, oh, I hope Soren's not going to be alone in there. Because he's walking in alone into the lion's den, and she's like, maybe he's got at least one friend on the inside, one vampire who likes him.
Is there literally one person who likes Soren?
That's a vampire? No.
No, just in general. And is there literally anybody who, like, even Nahiri, when she considered him a friend, was like, Soren would kill me just as quickly as he wouldn't?
They all think that, but we'll get to how that plays out later.
Okay.
And so they're just standing outside like, the fuck do we do now? Just out of sight of the guards is an entire army waiting to pounce on the castle the second they get the go-ahead.
Liliana's army.
No, It's an army of...
Is Liliana from Innistrad?
No.
But she has a house here.
Yes.
Okay, so she, like, migrated to Innistrad.
She just went there, stole someone's house, probably killed the inhabitants.
Oh, yeah, and made him a
over.
zombie, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess if you're Liliana, it's like, all right, I'm going to go live in Spookyville.
She does fit it. And it does make sense, because the whole reason Liliana was on the plane the first time was to kill one of the demons who had a part of her soul.
Which she did.
That
was Grizzlebrand.
The other reason, and what eventually roped her into the Gatewatch, was she was looking for a Geist Mage, which seemed to only appear on Innistrad.
Okay.
And the reason why she was trying to cleanse the Chain Veil.
Yeah.
It didn't work, but she tried.
So whose army is this?
It's farmers, Cather, anyone who the vampires have wronged.
Oh, okay, so basically everybody that isn't a vampire.
Exactly. They're just like, all right, when the time comes, we're killing everyone.
Yeah, fuck this wedding.
So, yeah, Chandra's like, I hope he isn't alone going in. Sorin walks in. He's totally alone. No one gives a shit about him.
Yep.
And he meets with Olivia in that impossibly large ballroom. And this is when Olivia is actually waking up Edgar to begin the ceremony. And we learn the awakening process. The coffins have small holes in them that you drip blood in, and it feeds them, and that wakes them up.
Oh, okay.
But depending on the mood, thoughts, and intentions of the donor of the blood, it can affect the vampire inside. So if you're in a good mood, they'll wake up in a good mood.
Oh,
but if you want them to do something, you just have to think of that, feed them the blood, and they'll do it. So this is how Olivia enthralls Edgar.
Man, if that was the conditions for sleeping, I would not sleep. Because, it just means that anybody could just take advantage of you at any time.
It does wear off after a time.
Sure.
But Olivia needs him awake for 5 minutes.
How much shit can you fuck up in a day?
If you're Olivia O'Darin a lot.
Just what I'm thinking is okay, if one day I wake up and I'm under somebody's control for 24 hours, they could destroy my entire life very quickly and easily.
So Olivia feeds Edgar her blood. This enthralls him, and it's not pure mind control. It's more like he's glamored, he's swayed to her side.
Ugh. Just keep going. Just ignore me. I got a huge hair in my mouth, and I don't know where it came from.
Sorin sees this. He loses it and actually attacks the two of them. He ends up being restrained by 4 guards using blessed silver chains.
Yeah.
And he's still beating the crap out of them. It takes a lot of them to bring them down.
Ow, claws. I see what you mean about this cat.
Yep. And
hey, kitty.
He keeps fighting until...
Aren't you supposed to get her declawed? It's not like a
You
thing.
can't do that anymore.
Oh, is that bad?
It irreparably damages them. It's illegal to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's a good animal rights thing.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I just didn't know that.
Yeah. So Sorin goes in. He's still fighting with the silver and the guards holding him down, and he kind of gives up when he realizes that Edgar is fully ready to commit to Olivia because of this glamour effect.
Yeah.
And the guards just leave him alone. They let the chains go slack. He's still bound, but he's not fighting any of them. And Sorin watches Olivia, notices him, smiles, and starts baiting him, throwing jabs his way.
Whose way?
At Sorin. So Olivia's talking to Sorin.
Oh, okay.
And she goes to all the other coffins of the other family members she went back and stole, and wakes up the entire Markov line. Just to watch her wedding and watch Sorin get humiliated.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate Olivia too, but Sorin needs a comeuppance once in a while.
This still isn't the moment that breaks him. We'll get to that.
Oh,
but
good.
It is, yeah.
Don't tell me, but I'm wondering, what is Sorin's fate after all this? I'm just thinking out loud. I'm musing. Don't answer the question.
I have not going to know it after this, but I know where, psychologically where it winds up.
I wonder if he ends up completed.
I really hope not.
I can't imagine that he would, but I don't know. Anyway, continue.
So, Sorin's still chained up, and he's watching Edgar and Olivia about to be wed. The entire thing is not only a jab at Sorin, but it's a way to fuel Olivia's ego. So she's standing there, Olivia. She's holding the moon silver key. While they're being married, back behind them is a 3-story tall stained glass window of Olivia Vodarin.
Okay.
She's getting married in front of a giant picture of herself.
Good. As we all do.
Right. The priest that's marrying them is a vampire dressed as the Lunarch, which was the head of the Church of Avacyn. And to top it off, hanging from the ceiling, magically bound in thick blood-red ribbons, is Sigarda the Angel.
Question.
Yes.
What happened to the Dusk Angel?
We never see her again. I think she's going to come up during the Phyrexian thing because they made a point to bring her back.
I was about to say, like, because she came back and then they're just like, all right, cool. Anyway.
It could also be that no one knows
Meanwhile,
she's back.
in the other side of Innistrad, like...
I think it's more like she's working from the shadows because that's what she did before.
Yeah, because she's the agent of Dusk or whatever.
Right. Interesting note here. I just want to drive this one home. Sigarda is known as the Angel of the Sun. It's important for later.
Okay.
Now, when
Sun, like Eshuat.
Yes.
Okay.
So when Sorin sees Sigarda and the Moon Silver Key, he works out Olivia's plan. And
Oh, yeah.
the substance that makes the key is actual Moon Silver, which is a magic substance in Innistrad.
Yeah.
That, just like the Hell Vault, with powerful natural binding properties. So most other vampires have the ability to control blood. We see that with Sorin, we see that with Edgar. Olivia, to a certain extent,
Control
with her dress.
blood?
Yes.
Okay.
Sergomancy, I think it's called. And he realizes that if they drink Sigarda's blood...
Sorry, I just... Because, like, you like Sergomancy or whatever, my brain's like sanguinification. Just definitely not what it's
That would
called.
be turning into blood.
Yeah.
So he realizes that if they drink angel blood out of the Moon Silver Key using their blood control, that would give the vampires control over the angels.
So Olivia is just trying to wipe out this plane at this point, right?
It's all to fuel her ego.
Yeah, because I was about
She
to
does
say,
not care.
she doesn't, like, think ahead even slightly. They're like, oh, when this is done,
Sorin
we die.
relates to this many times throughout these stories that the vampires are very short-sighted.
Yeah.
They will do anything to gain 1% more power. Like, they will kill billions if it makes them 1% more important. That's all they care about.
Okay.
So Sorin realizes what Olivia's about to do, which is hand over the strongest force in Innistrad under vampire control, which he can't have.
Yeah.
And he finally...
And if he tries to make another Avacyn...
it'll probably kill him.
Well, I was about to say, because that knocked him out for centuries, right?
Yeah, seemingly.
Yeah.
He lashes out. He's finally able to break free. And the guards are, like, so taken aback, they just let go of the chain he's in. And he slams into a fountain of blood.
Sorin. Okay.
He uses the blood to craft a sword, slice the chains, and attack, and steals one of the swords and goes right after Olivia, because he's like, I gotta kill her before this is completed, or else we're all screwed.
Yeah.
And the shock of it causes Olivia to drop the Moon Silver Key.
Okay.
As soon as it hits the ground, Catilda, whose spirit is still residing in the key, summons herself. Like, she comes out of this. If you look up Catilda's card, it's a two-faced card.
Yeah.
The second one is her coming out of the key.
Cool. I won't look it up right now because I have a cat on my lap. Toast is very engaged in our podcast today.
Catilda makes a staff out of, like, ethereal vines, like, basically just summons out of the ether, and lets out this huge burst of light while Sorin is holding off Olivia.
Yeah.
The light burst does one thing and one thing only, which is remove the magic binding Sigarda. So the angel's free now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what can I... Catilda? Catilda. So her one act is to free the angel.
Her one move was to free the angel. She's still,
Is
like...
Sigarda super strong? I know she's
Yes.
come up a bunch, but...
She is the second... During the Avacyn era, she was the second strongest angel on the plane.
Okay.
And now she is the strongest angel on the plane.
Okay.
The words angel and archangel are very interchangeable in Innistrad.
Yep.
But for purposes of the story, the four main angels and Avacyn are archangels, which are a step above regular angels.
Okay.
So Sigarda snaps all the ribbons because there's no magic in them anymore. And she just looks at all the vampires and goes, "You're all guilty." And the stained glass window behind Olivia, and now Sorin and Edgar, she melts the iron with a blast of magic, waves her hand, and sends the shards of glass throughout the room, and just, like, starts skewering people.
Hell yeah. A true red wedding.
The only people left standing, like, mostly unharmed, are Sorin, who only got their way by creating a Shield of Blood, Edgar and Olivia. While this is going on outside, Chandra, being Chandra, is asking a vampire wedding serve cake. And the others are like, yeah, most likely not, because they're not going to feed their human slaves.
Nah.
And while they're debating the merits of vampire wedding cake, Arlen looks over and sees Sigarda's light emanating from the castle, and all the wards protecting it start to fall.
Yeah.
So there is a side note here, and this is why I mentioned Sigarda as the Angel of the Sun. Is Sorin has this inner monologue where Sigarda is preparing to like blast everyone.
Yeah.
And he says he modeled Avacyn after her, which is important because Avacyn was the Angel of the Moon. It's sort of like a duality, two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
But he didn't make her exactly in Sigarda's image. He made Avacyn more stoic, less emotional, and more likely to wipe out a threat quicker.
Yeah.
Well, Sigarda will hesitate.
Okay.
She doesn't see black and white. She sees black and white. Sigarda
sees the shades of gray.
Sees the shades of, Avacyn will
white.
just wipe things out. And finally, the wedding crash. It has taken a long time to get here, and I'm so glad. Because this is the main crux of, like, Crimson Vow.
I was about to say, so the Crimson Vow is the marriage vows.
Right.
Okay.
Which they do touch off on, but they're really cheesy. I didn't want to include them. And I don't mean, like, normal love cheesy. I mean, like, cringy cheesy.
Well, because I was just trying to think of, like, vampire puns for, like, marriage vows, but nothing
As
came
soon
to
as
me.
I saw you, it was like Cupid drove a stake through my heart.
Yeah. Till
You make my
till
fangs tingle.
Till death do we never depart. I don't know.
To eternity do we not depart.
Yeah. We'll workshop these.
Yeah. Well,
We
circle
won't,
back.
but
Yeah.
they need to be workshopped if we're going to continue this line of questioning.
So, Arlen and the army outside assault the castle, and it is a full-scale attack.
Yeah.
Like, the guards outside see it coming, still can't do shit about it. Like, they're just wiped out immediately. Within seconds, they've made their way over to the central courtyard and start to spread out. And it's just a flood of anger and fear and revenge. There's even one part where they say that there's a kid riding a trained boar as a mount. Like,
Charge!
It's literally just like, it's pure bedlam. Chandra and Edelyn ride off, and they're just destroying everything in their path.
I was about to say, Chandra, fire magic must work very well against vampires.
Yes. Kaya turns into a ghost, and she goes, I'm going to rally the ghosts on the Valderan estate, which there are thousands of.
Well, yeah, because they kill people constantly.
Right, so there's a whole other army just waiting there. So she goes off to do that, and Teferi just kind of, like, disappears into the past. We don't see him for a bit. As they're breaking through the estate, Sorin finally starts to come to the realization, like, his whole life has been shit because of Edgar. And
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Character growth.
It's taken this long.
Yeah, it took him 6,000 years to finally have the most obvious stuff.
So there's this huge commotion going outside. Edgar retreats deeper into the manor, and Sorin goes after him, and they go to the Sanguitorium, which is
to commit sanguification.
It's a wine cellar just filled with blood instead of wine.
Okay.
That's all it is. And there's bottles and barrels and vats of wine, of blood, and they're just beating the crap out of each other. It's not like
Sorin and Edgar.
Yeah, it's not like a cool, like, oh, we're gonna, like, duel. It's Sorin actually, like, grabs a metal pipe and just starts cracking him over the head at one point, cracking Edgar over the head.
Grabs a frying pan and bonks him.
Yeah, I mean, like, Sorin's whole classic "I'm too cool for this" vibe is just gone. He's just so enraged.
This is maybe the only time I've ever, like, yeah, Sorin, get him.
Exactly. So, like, Sorin has spent, like, the last several millennia doing what he thought was right, doing what he thought to help the plane, even creating Avacyn and exiling himself from the vampires, and Edgar is just mocking him throughout it. He's like, oh, yeah, well, you only created Avacyn using my research, your little toy or whatever. And
My research guy, I'm a guy who does nothing but sleep.
right.
I've done so much.
Well, he did create the vampires with fuck the plane, but, you know.
Oh, yeah, good work.
So Edgar finally gets the upper hand, grabs Sorin, and, like, goes to drown him in a vat of blood and just, like, throws him into it. And we cut back, and as Edgar and Sorin are having their little family squabble, politely in the back room.
Yeah. White trash party.
Arlen has found the main ballroom, and they enter with Sigarda just decapitating everyone. If you get a chance, look up her cards. She carries what looks like a shepherd's crook in the shape of a heron, the bird, but it's a scythe.
Cool.
And so Sigarda by herself is taking out most of the vampires, and even Arlen, who is there to kill the vampires, sees this and goes, I'm going to let you handle that, and just, like, walks around the fight. She's like, I'm not getting involved. You do you, lady. I'm going to go after Olivia. And she spots Olivia, and Olivia's just, like, having, like, a temper tantrum, shrieking about people ruining her wedding while floating, like, in the air. As she's yelling, Kaya comes out of nowhere, like, rematerializes, and drives a knife through the train of her dress, freeing all the souls trapped in it.
Okay.
Which is, again, boosting our...
More ghosts, yeah.
This actually finally causes Olivia to flee because she's surrounded, and she just runs into the castle. As I was writing this part, though, I was writing out shrieking, but I mistyped and wrote out shrekking. Hold on. And then without any hesitation, I finished with, who was shrekking about people ruining her swamp. And then I had to go back and realize what I did and delete it. So, yeah. It was late when I was writing this.
Hey now, you're a vampire. Get your blood on. Go feed.
Olivia is running back into the estate. She's trying to hide, trying to regain some semblance of composure. And Arlen goes right after her. The problem with this is, because she's charging ahead, she separates herself from everyone else. It's one-on-one to corner Olivia. And this whole time, Arlen's been in her human form. And Olivia is just taunting her. And
what's a puny little human gonna do?
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're without your pack. She slices Arlen at one point and tastes her blood. And goes, you taste terrible.
I mean, it's a shame, too, because I don't think Arlen's actually all that strong. Like, she lost to Tovolar.
Tovolar's a monster.
Oh, well...
Oh, and I do want to correct myself on that. I was going to bring it up at the end. She doesn't transform in that fight until he picks her up to strangle her.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
No, I mentioned during the recording, I thought she was transformed the whole time.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't until she, like, drives her claws through his chest.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was human on human until, like, the very end.
Okay.
And so Olivia is just, like, dawned her. She's like, come on, you should transform. At least you'll have a fighting chance. And Arlen finally does, and, the anger pushes her over the edge, only for Olivia to, like, duck around her and stab Arlen with her hand like a stake. And just leaves her bleeding out. I really wish I knew what happened, but we cut back to Chandra and Adeline. They're battling through the ballroom, still on Adeline's horse. No, I'm sorry, they don't have the horse anymore. And Adeline is, like, blocking hits to protect Chandra. Chandra's shooting out fire. And being Chandra, she's, like, lighting the tables on fire. But there's people on the tables fighting still.
Oh, yeah.
And she's burning the vampires. They do bump into Kaya, and this is where we see Teferi pop up again. I think he's just been fighting.
Yeah, probably. He's in the mix.
And they do stop to consider, should we go help Arlen? Because she just ran off alone against Olivia. And as they're discussing what to do, she'll probably be fine. Maybe we should go. They get reinforcements in the form of Tolivar's entire wolf pack.
Oh, speaking of Tolivar.
Yeah, so they see Tolivar run in, and he is with Arlen's original pack. Boulder, Streak, Redtooth, and Patience. They point to where Arlen went, and he chases after her. And you don't know what's about to happen, but it's really, like, in this moment I'm reading it, and I was writing the script, and I'm like, I really hope this doesn't turn out bad for her.
I was about to say, because Tovolar could either be going to help Arlen or to kill her.
Right. We actually cut back to Sorin now, and this is when he has his religious experience.
His come to Jesus moment.
Right. Yeah. His come to Avacyn moment. Wow, that came out really bad.
I was about to say, I had one of those the other day.
She's still the background on this tablet, like her stained glass window.
So, sounds like so did you.
And he has the realization, he's seeing in this vat of blood, that finally he realizes, like, oh my god, I've been an asshole because I've been trying to impress my grandfather this whole time. Like, it's one of those subconscious things. He never realized it, but he does in this moment. Because Edgar just beat the shit out of him without a second thought.
Yeah,
like, he didn't care. And he realizes that Edgar just views Sorin as another possession to control.
Yeah.
And Sorin this is where he just like, all right, I understand I'm a bad person. I gotta change. So he starts chugging the blood he's in, which heals his wounds, revitalizes him, and he swims to the surface and goes after Edgar. Like, the only thing that stops him is he stops, like, grab a sword. But there's descriptions like vampires...
Does he still have his, whoop,
No, Olivia stole that from him.
the big black greatsword?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It comes up, it has a name that came up on Zendikar. I just forget
It's
what
like the
it is.
Vampire's Fang or something like that.
Yeah, Snakebite, I think, or
Yeah.
something. So, for the audience, it'll be like weeks from now, but for us, it'll
read
be
the
an
name
hour.
1,000 times. I
Yeah.
could not tell you what it is.
It'll be in like an hour. We'll find out anyway. The audience will find out in like 4 weeks.
So he only stops to grab a sword, cutting down anyone who gets in his way. And he gets back to the ballroom, and he barely notices Chandra, Teferi, or Adeline, or Kaya as he makes his way to get Edgar. And there's this moment where all at once, on instinct, everyone in the fight realizes what's about to happen and just parts. Like, they're still fighting, but they instinctively move their fights away from the two of them.
Sorin and
Edgar.
Oh,
Because
Edgar, okay.
Sorin is closing the gap to, like, kill his grandfather.
Yeah.
And the only ones who, like, get in the way are the ones foolish enough to attack Sorin. But
They just get melted.
he doesn't even, like, he cuts them down, like, decapitates them or, like, mutilates them, cuts off their limbs just for the hell of it, but does not stop. Like, he's not slowing down in the slightest. And finally confronts Edgar, and Sorin is so pissed that he's attacking so hard and so quick, Edgar's, like, can't do anything. He is dodging and parrying, and only just so.
Yeah.
To the point that Sorin actually knocks him down and is about to decapitate him.
Okay.
He does say that he's about to kill him, but the only thing that stays his hand is it feels like an angel is holding him back.
Sorin.
Yeah. So there's no one there, but in my mind, I thought it was Avacyn at first, like Avacyn's influence.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like, don't turn into the monster that she became, but I realize now it's Sigarda, because she would hesitate.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She would see
Avacyn
the,
would just
the
cut him
shades
right
of
down.
gray. So,
I'm picturing like angels in the outfield,
yeah.
where like Sigarda is like hunched over his shoulder while he's going for the decapitation.
I'm imagining, like, she's standing behind him, like, a hand on his wrist.
Yeah.
Like, whispering to him, like, don't do it. Just don't do it. And so he lets Edgar leave. He goes, just leave. I won't kill you, but this has to
Get the
stop.
fuck out of my sight
Exactly.
and never talk to me again.
As this is going on, Tolivar finds Arlen. And she's laying on the floor. She's bleeding out. She's reverted back to human. And her old pack wakes her, like Boulder and Red Streak and all those. And she's very happy to see them. There's actually this line where she's like, they're licking her face and she's booping their noses. And it's very cute. And
then Tovalar rips her heart out.
he's on her side now.
Oh.
And we actually find a little bit about Arlen's magic here, because you and I had this question, like, what's Arlen's specialty?
Yeah.
Because every planeswalker does. It appears that when she transforms into a werewolf, all of her wounds heal.
Cool.
So she reverts back and asks Tolvar why he's there, and he goes, you called for help, I came to help. And that's it.
No, fuck you, Tovalar.
Yeah.
Like, didn't, like, 10 minutes ago you tried to kill her?
Yeah. He still views Arlen as a friend, as a pack mate. And I don't know why.
Nah.
It's very clear she wants to kill him, and he wants to kill her. But I think in his mind, it's a question of, like, honor. Like, yeah, they might beat the crap out of each other, but they're still quote-unquote friends in his mind.
Okay.
Like, old school knight honor.
Yeah.
So this is why I think the her power is healing. It's because Stolvar still has the wounds and scars from their last fight.
But Arlen does not.
She doesn't. She's fully healed up. And oh shit, let's get to the part. Hold on. And now they chase after Olivia.
Okay.
They can smell the blood from her dress. They're gonna go after her.
Yeah, yeah.
And they find Olivia and Edgar. They're trapped in, like, this high tower in the castle. They're just about to argue about who fucked up here. Like, no, it was you, no, it was you. Like, they're just about to get to that
Olivia
part.
and who?
Edgar.
Oh, okay.
And that's when Tolvar, Arlen, and the pack bust in through the door. And Olivia, who's completely cornered now, gives up the key without a fuss. She's like, I can't... I have no cards left to play.
Yeah.
So she chucks him the key, and they fly off through a window, just like, oh, we're going to go somewhere else. Never hear from them again.
They being...
Edgar and Olivia.
Oh, okay.
As they leave, there's a moment where Tolvar actually, like, lunges at them, and all he gets is Edgar's cloak. Like, he rips it off of him. But they do escape. And Arlen picks up the key, tells Tolvar, listen, we're going to settle this one day, but not today.
Yeah.
I will find you, and I will kill you,
Yep.
but we just can't do it today.
Yeah, I've got bigger fish to fry right now.
Exactly. And as they're leaving, they're going to rejoin Gatewatch. We cut back to
Gatewatch?
Gatewatch, jeez. Sorin and the rest of them. And this is where Sorin kind of, like, has his change. Where he realizes, like, I've been an asshole. I have to stop being an asshole.
Okay.
And he's going out of his way to offer whatever help he can. Like, he tells the injured, we're going to get you to Markov Manor. I got medical techs there. They're the most advanced on Innistrad. You can stay there as long as you want. You can heal there. We're going to take care of you. And he even goes so far as to thanking Teferi for his condolences, because he realizes that Teferi is as old as Sorin is. Like, he is an old planeswalker.
Yeah.
And he realizes, like, Teferi's felt lost, too, on the same level that Sorin has. And that there's a sort of a kinship there. So it stops him from, like... He does go to do, like, a sarcastic retort.
And then he stops.
He stops and he realizes, like...
Character development.
Right. He realizes, like, no, they actually mean what they're saying, and I've got to change.
Yeah.
And that's kind of Sorin's end of the story right now. He kind of, like, takes care of the wounded, makes sure everyone's okay, and starts to fix up Markov Manor.
Okay.
Now,
good.
Gatewatch finally has the key, and they got to get back to the Celestis.
What does this key even do?
It's to power the Celestis. It's like...
Oh, that's
it's an
right.
actual key.
The Hope Restoration Machine. Yeah.
So it's one of two parts. There's the Moon Silver Key, which is the silver bowl with these spikes coming out of it.
Yeah.
Imagine a gear turned upright, like bowled in on itself.
Yeah, yep.
There is another half to it called the Sun Gold Lock, which looks the same, but it's made of gold. And so they leave. Teferi uses his time magic to speed them to the Celestis. And he's actually using so much magic, it strains him to the point he passes out. But they get there in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
As they're getting back there, and I really hate this part, because Catilda is manifesting out of the key, and she's talking to Arlen, but she's doing that whole stupid fucking monk thing, where she's not asking her what she wants to ask her, she's using proverbs and shit like that.
The answers you seek lie within the mixture of the sun and the moon.
It's all double talk.
By the crater through which one can see the divine being. It's like, I just asked you what you wanted from the brunch place. Like, do you want Eggs Benedict? Like, what do you fucking want? Ask not what the Eggs Benedict can do for you.
Exactly. Like, Catilda's trying to get Arlen to admit that she called for help for Tolvar. At least that's the sense I got from it. But she's so unclear. Arlen is like, who, Sorin? No, not him. The gateway? Who are you talking about? She's like, no, the one who runs through the forest. Oh, Tolvar. Just say Tolvar. Like,
the Eggs Benedict.
Right. It's one of those moments. I hate it.
Do you want
it's kind
biscuits
of funny,
and gravy
though.
or not?
They get back to the machine and they finish the ritual. It's enough where Catilda's soul is back in the bowl. Arlen does the blood thing, bites the herb. That's all good. And they fit it into the Sun Gold Lock. And it starts to move like a giant gyroscope.
Yeah.
Like the whole structure. And this is
yeah, because it's like reorienting.
Massive.
It's reorienting the solar system, basically.
And there's this light that beams from it. Like the whole thing starts to glow. And then the light focuses into the center, shoots out, hits the moon, and pulls it back to where it needs to go. And there's this quote by Arlen where she's watching the giant arms of this thing move. And there's like trees hovering overhead because they're still stuck on the gears.
Yeah.
And it goes, Arlen just can't think of anything to say. She thinks there isn't anything to say at all about this. sometimes you just have to shut up and appreciate what's happening, appreciate the absurdity of life itself. And this is when, for the first time in months, there's a sunrise on Innistrad.
Woo!
So now everyone has to say goodbye. Their work there is done. Gatewatch has to leave. There is a story here I have not touched off on between Chandra and Adeline. They're kind of together throughout this whole thing, like dating. Very much, but they kind of like go hide under a willow tree to like have some privacy and say goodbye. But like Arlen walks by and kind of like eavesdrops on him.
And you just hear wet schlicking noises?
No, they're actually like talking.
Oh, okay.
Because Chandra can't stay. She's got a duty to protect other places.
Yeah, I gotta go live with an old man on Dominaria.
A 10,000-year-old man. But, and Adeline has got to stay there to help rebuild the plane. So they kind of part ways.
Is Adeline a Planeswalker?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's just a Cathar from Innistrad that Chandra's like, ooh, cutie.
Yeah.
I did look into it because I knew this was coming. Because it's hinted out and outright stated in a couple stories.
Yeah, you talk about Chandra's love life.
Chandra is pansexual.
Yeah.
So, like, if she thinks someone's cute, she's going for it, which I really appreciate. So Arlen's listening on this, and Kaya confronts her. She's like, why are you eavesdropping on the lovebirds? And Arlen just goes, I just want to make sure they're okay. I mean, we just went through some shit.
Yeah.
And Kaya's like, yeah, whatever. Call me if you need me, because there's a lot of ghosts on Innistrad. If you want me to take care of them, I'll help. And she just walks away.
Call me if you need me. We don't have interplanar communication, so you'll just have
Arlen's a planeswalker.
You'll just have to find me. There's only an infinite multiverse out there. If you need me, just
I think
come.
at this point, Gatewatch has like a central base on Ravnica.
Oh, okay.
So Kaya leaves. Teferi actually comes up with Catilda, and Catilda has gifted him the Moonsilver Key. And for two reasons.
And Teferi's like, the fuck am I going to do with this?
For two reasons. One...
I'm not even from this plane.
Right. Moonsilver, which appears to be on other planes as well. It's just more prevalent on Innistrad.
Yeah.
He says
probably
that...
very magical.
Yeah, he says that it can affect magic, and is especially good at bolstering time magic.
Oh, okay.
Which he needs. Teferi has done some stuff that he needs to fix.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on that when we do him. He's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's also for safekeeping, because the key's going to be off the plane.
Yeah.
And they only need it like once every 1,000 years.
To reset the lunar cycle.
So it'll be safe on Ravnica, because no one who can get it there has any use for it. And for the first time, Teferi, he's not smiling. Or if he is, it's very like hollow, like there's a fear behind it.
Yeah.
And Arlen asks, like, what's going on? And he goes, there's something going on. And something's been happening on other planes. And just keep an eye out for black oil and things made of flesh and machine. The Phyrexians.
Oh, no, damn it. I was going to make some stupid joke like, the I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, because the first thing that came to my head was like, the Chinese. And I'm like, that's racist. Okay. So I was like, okay, pick anything that's not a race. And then my brain stopped. But like...
Yeah. So...
the tree people.
The demon lovers.
Furry invasion. There we go.
Well, Arlen's a furry.
Yeah.
Whatever. So he warns her about the Phyrexians. So if you see any of this, get us immediately. Like, do not fight them. Just call it.
Yeah, ring my banana phone and we will be there.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the ends of the Crimson Vow.
Oh my goodness. And soon to be the end of Innistrad.
We got one more episode after this.
Yeah, but it's just kind of a wrap up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the main bulk of it.
I probably won't be doing that next because I got like a book to read and a bunch of other stories.
Yeah, we could do that at any point.
Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
That was fun. I like the wedding. I like that we get to see Chandra in a fucking sick ass dress.
They took a lot of time. If I wanted to include some of the cards in this,
yeah,
but I started looking at them like, I want to include that one. I want to include that one. There's so many just fantastic artworks in Crimson Vow. I actually have. Hold on, give me a second here. I have Olivia's picture from Crimson Vow. Where the hell did I put it? Hold on.
For the audience, Scott is now searching through his apartment, and I have a cat on my lap. Red toast. You like Innistrad, don't you? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because we opened a lot of packs of Midnight Hunt, right? So have you got this, or did you buy this separately?
No, that actually came in my pack for Ikoria.
I'm not going to say who, but her face reminds me of somebody we used to know. I'm not going to say who, though, so don't start guessing.
I wasn't going to, but all right. Yeah, no, the artwork that you should look up is... I'm going to spell the name because there's no way I can pronounce it.
Yep.
I'm sorry, it's Martina is the first name. The last name is Fackova. She did the artwork for the Crimson Vow artwork page that you get when you buy a booster box.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Crimson Vow.
That is Crimson Vow, and that is Innistrad. Fun. It isn't the word I don't want to use. I mean, it's been fun for us, but the plane itself is
Grim.
just so dreary. It ends on a good note, though, which is, I think it's the first plane we've covered that actually ends with a good ending.
Well, the Phyrexians invade.
I mean, later, but they actually accomplished what they set out to do. They stopped the vampires. The day-night cycle's restored. This is a W for everybody. Which we so far haven't seen yet. I mean, granted, we've only covered Kamigawa, really, but there was no good ending there.
If you look back at Innistrad, there are the major factions are either subdued or wiped out.
Yeah.
So all the main problems on Innistrad have been taken care of. The only thing I can think of still being an issue is the giant zombie army that Liliana left behind. But they're just kind of fine where they are.
Yeah, it's we just don't go to that corner.
Right.
We don't go to Ravenholm.
The only thing I really wish they did is they touched off more on Runo Stromkirk. Just because it's a vampire family that gets no attention. They're water aligned, which is very unique for vampires, considering most of them are black, white, or red. And they're known for worshipping a sea god.
Worshipping.
Yeah, they're cultists.
Well, no, you said worshipping.
Worshipping.
Worcestershire.
No, but I really wish they touched off more on them because we've seen two gods on Innistrad, or at least we know of them. There's the Ocean God, and then there's three. The Berry Lord, which turned out to be a demon.
Yep.
The Giant Serpent from the Dawnheart Coven arc.
Yep.
And then this Ocean God, which we never touch off on. But yeah, no, that's it. That's my one big gripe.
Yeah, well, but Innistrad was never about the gods. It was about the monsters of man.
Right. It was very Renaissance era religion versus actual monsters.
Yeah, good versus evil in its purest form. Yeah, that was fun. We got a lot of likable characters out of this one. We got Arlen.
Sorin by the end.
I was leaving the pause because it was a lot of likable characters. We got Arlen.
There is,
and I don't know. I'm glad Sorin realizes finally that he's a dick, but it's gonna take a little bit more. I need a little bit more for me to decide I don't hate him anymore. Especially because for what we're recording later, the Teeth of a Comb episode, I have a Sorin as a dick supercut, so it's gonna take a little bit more than Sorin just being nice one time for me to be okay.
I agree. Don't get me wrong. I still think he was a dick. I thought he was a dick through all of this, but I understand the machinations behind it. Yeah. But now he does too, and he's like, "Oh, everyone I've ever met is an asshole. I need to change."
Yeah, well, everyone I've ever met is an asshole, I think, and that makes it. If everyone is an asshole to you, that means that you're the asshole.
It's that, but his whole family's like that.
Oh yeah,
all the vampires are like that. Everyone who knew him thought of him like that. And don't get me wrong, he's done some shit, but at the same time, his whole thing was, I want to keep these people safe, no matter the cost.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm now curious as to find out what happens to Sorin going forward, which neither of us have looked into, so we don't know.
I was telling Zach this before we started the recording today. I was up to 4 a.m. reworking this script.
Yeah.
Because there was so much stuff, I got to change the order, I want to include this detail, I want to cut this.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it paid off. It was pretty coherent, the delivery we got. Yeah. Any further closing remarks on Innistrad?
I think that's all, and we'll see you on the next plane.
See you on the next plane.